Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to the DLD Europe Power Lunch. Our focus is, of course, Europe. And I want to offer you an amazing menu, a menu for the good of Europe. We have to load Europe with an optimistic and courageous, a productive, innovative view. What are you adding for Europe? We are adding at this lunch a wonderful menu with amazing speakers who all are convinced that Europe needs a new vision. Our continent has so much to offer, such a diversity of talent, culture, and borderless creativity. We can only lose if we don't harvest this enormous potential. The game is not over, it's only just beginning, and this week we'll show you why. Please stay tuned and remember that every day of the week we have another lunch. Casper Klynge is Microsoft's European Government Affairs guy. He's responsible for Microsoft's policies all over the continent. And he was the first foreign tech ambassador in Silicon Valley. He was sent by his home country, Denmark, and he is a regular within this power nest of Silicon Valley. What he did there is he's doing now in Europe, building bridges, bonding ties. He's a connector, and therefore he's perfect for DLD Europe.
Hi everyone, very happy to address the DLD community and to tell you what we would like to do to add to the future of Europe. My name is Casper Klynge. I'm the Vice President for European Government Affairs at Microsoft. We live in unprecedented times of turmoil. We're in the middle of a global pandemic that has affected all parts of the world, but also Europe. I think we've drawn two main conclusions at Microsoft from the global pandemic and our response to the situation in Europe. The first one is, of course, the enormous dependency on digital solutions, on new technologies. We've been heavily involved in making sure that people could receive education online. We've been supporting first-line responders in healthcare to make sure that they could cope with the massive amount of challenges caused by COVID-19. But we've also learned that we have to make sure that more and more people will have access to the latest technologies, come online, to make sure that we help recover economies and jobs from COVID-19. And I think one of the lessons also for a company like Microsoft is that raises the responsibility of what we do and how we do it. I think that Europe has shown leadership in responding to the global pandemic by focusing on two key issues: the responsibility to develop digitalization and roll out critical infrastructure across Europe, but also making sure that as we recover from one crisis, that we do not lose sight of the next crisis by focusing on sustainability and climate change. Whether we look at the Europe Fit for the Digital Age as formulated by the European Commission or the latest recovery package, EU Next Gen, they are focused on these two issues, digitalization and sustainability. So what does that mean for a company like Microsoft? Well, I think one of the first lessons is we have to make sure that our technology is aligned with Europe, not the other way around. So I'm very happy to share with you today that we are launching a new policy in Europe that we call Tech Fit for Europe. This is basically about making sure that everything we do will be in support of Europe's ambitions and vision within the digital area. And when we look specifically at a world after COVID-19, we want to make sure that our technology will help grow jobs, will help make sure that we focus on sustainability, and that we also make sure that we have an inclusive focus on technology. Our basic conclusion is that in order for Europe to be fit for the digital age, we need technology fit for Europe. Thank you very much.
Kalin, Anev, Janse is the Chief Financial Officer and member of the Management Board of the ESM, the European Stability Mechanism, and the EFSF, the European Financial Stability Facility. Kalin is in charge of the Funding and Investor Relations Division, as well as the Investment and Treasury Division. The ESM is playing a vital role in the European COVID-19 pandemic crisis support and pandemic relief. We have asked Kalin to contribute to the DLD lunch break because he has a positive message about the important position of Europe in the field of sustainable finance and investment.
Hello, I'm Kalin Anev Janse, the CFO of the European Stability Mechanism. Thank you for inviting me to join the DLD community. I wish I could be with you in person, but we know we live in special times, and therefore I'm joining you virtually. I want to address three topics with you. The first one is Europe's response to the COVID-19 crisis. Beginning of this year, we were hit by one of the sharpest recessions over the last 100 years. This was caused first by human tragedy of the COVID-19 crisis, which then led to an economic crisis. But in Europe, we came together. We created a first 540 billion rapid response, of which my institution is part of, to help with healthcare costs, to help with small businesses and unemployment schemes. This summer, we added another 750 billion in the form of the European Union Recovery Fund. So there is a 1.3 trillion fiscal European response to help us combat this crisis. And this all is next to the 1.3 trillion of pandemic response by the European Central Bank. So Europe has really gone all in to help us through these difficult times. The second topic I want to address is digitalization. This crisis showed us that we need to work in a different way, in a more modern way. If a year ago you would have asked the financial sector whether they could work from home and run trading rooms like our own, people would have said no. We have shown that the impossible is possible. So now large bonds are issued from kitchen rooms and investments happen from homemade offices. Now, this crisis has shown us that technology can give us a bright future, but it also highlighted some complexities. Working from home with dual career couples and small kids has proven to be difficult. Also, inequality has been fostered. In countries where digitalization has not spread or some jobs are not possible to go virtual, we have seen more tragic numbers. So we need to rethink how the new way of work would look like, also taking the downsides and the difficulty into account while leveraging all the great things that technology is offering us. The third item I want to address with you is the future. And I'm optimistic and I see a bright future ahead of us. The current pandemic crisis has shown us how complicated crises can become in an interconnected world. The next crisis that we need to address is the climate crisis. And here, Europe is leading the way. The euro is the global currency of choice if you want to issue green bonds. 45% of all the bonds issued that are green bonds are in euro, and only 26% in US dollar. This summer, the European Parliament approved the green taxonomy, which allows a more objective way of looking at climate issues. And also my own institution, the ESM, has focused on this topic. This year, we signed the United Nations Principle of Responsible Investments. And last year, we even doubled our green and social bond investments. And also on our issuance side, if our pandemic crisis response is taken up, it will be financed by social bonds. This summer, we presented a fully fledged social bond framework. So in the future, we should learn from the pandemic crisis and learn how to solve future crises for the next generations, like the climate crisis. The ESM, as a crisis resolution mechanism, is at the forefront, and we try to help wherever we can. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being our guest. See you tomorrow.